Tonight on CTV, what went on this week at the LSC protest? And as new COVID cases rise, where can you find the nearest testing site?
Then, an interview with ASCSU's Kyle Hill and City Council's decision on marijuana sales.
That and more, here on CTV.
For example,
Good evening, I'm Weston Hubbard, and welcome to the Thursday Night News.
And I'm Kenneth Frederick. We have plenty of news, so let's jump right in.
With the return to in-person classes also means the return of people with different opinions on campus, and one result was quite the talk this week. If you've walked by the LSC at all this week, you've probably seen some of the protests that are going on.
Guys, people like you! I'm saying, your sin will find you out. Your sin will find you out.
This man claiming to preach the word of God has stood on the LSC Plaza and has spoken to every student that will come around and listen to his message. Some students disagreed with what this man was saying, and they were outright offended. Accounts like CSU Barstool claim this man to be Keith Austin Darrell, or at least one of his cohorts. Darrell was arrested last week at Boise State for actively resisting police officers. Some of the students who spoke up against his teachings, such as Jake Bird, talked on the matter of how damaging lessons like these have been for people like him.
I got kicked out of church when I was 8 because I wore a gay pride shirt. The pastor pulled me up in front of the entire pew and was like, hey, we don't want your kind, and I was like...
Other students took the matter less seriously and did activities such as push-ups in the middle of his preachings. Social media took the events by storm, with commenters divided on the incident. Some claiming what he was doing was wrong, with others claiming it's his right to free speech. Ultimately, the experience has been one that students will likely remember for quite some time.
If I didn't know that my church was wrong, I would have thought that guy was telling the truth.
If any situations escalate regarding the LSC protest, we will be sure to keep you updated.
I had the chance to talk with the ASCSU Speaker of the Senate, Kyle Hill, about the Student Senate. We spoke about plans the Senate had for the upcoming year. Speaker Hill told me that the Senate has lots of plans to help in areas like dining halls as well as parking and transportation.
For example, the dining hall situation with Durrell and all that, I'm planning on bringing the leaders from the dining hall in Durrell to come and explain what is going on and why are they understaffed with 30,000 students and what can we do to make that better, because I know some students have concerns regarding that.
Another topic of the conversation was on how the Senate and executive branches will be working together during his term. This was nothing to worry about for Hill, since he had already been friends with both the president and vice president for a few years already.
Christian, Mary, and myself are really good friends, personally and professionally, and that's really helps this year because we'll be able to easily collaborate with him.
With more ASCSU news coming every week, we here at CTV will keep you updated on our student government.
Larimer County has seen several outbreaks of COVID-19 in the past few weeks, bringing the county all the way back to red status in terms of severity of COVID-19. In wake of this, Larimer County has opened up 2 new COVID-19 testing sites for the week, one at Timberline Church, 2908 South Timberline Road, and the other at Foundations Church, 1380 North Denver Avenue. With additional testing, the county hopes to combat the spread of both the original strand and Delta variant, which both seem to be spreading very fast again. For more information, you can go to larimer.org/health.
Stoners of Fort Collins scored a big win on Tuesday night's City Council meeting, where some stricter city laws were updated to fit within state law. The changes affect quite a few things. First, the allowed amount of sale has gone from 2 ounces a week to the statewide 2 ounces a day. Dispensaries no longer have to close at 8 o'clock at night and can now close their stores at midnight. The restriction of a license to sell has dropped from those with a felony in the last 10 years to felons within the last 3 years. The council decided to make these changes at the request of voters and the marijuana industry. Jim Lenders, the Fort Collins Police Department marijuana enforcement officer, said the changes were made because city code needed to be up to date with Colorado's ever-changing laws.
And it's evolved a lot in the last 10 years.
And rather than constantly having to change municipal code to adapt to that, we thought it a more long-range move to make code align with state code, so that wasn't necessary.
The law went into effect on Tuesday, but dispensaries are already updating store hours in anticipation of the extra 4 hours of sales a day.
Last week, we discussed the case of Karen Gardner, a 73-year-old woman with dementia. Karen claims she'd been forcefully injured by an officer with body camera footage to back up her claims. After the officer in question, Austin Hopp, was found guilty of the charges, Loveland is now agreeing to a $3 million settlement for the lawsuit that Gardner had filed against the city. Although they have agreed to pay the $3 million, they will still not provide an admission of liability alongside the lump of money. Gardner's legal team plans to make a follow-up announcement sometime soon.
The city will be carrying out spraying starting at 8 o'clock tonight and Sunday night. They'll be spraying for mosquitoes with West Nile after trappings indicated the presence of the virus. Trucks will be conducting pesticide foggings in southeast Fort Collins, and the city encourages residents to minimize exposure by staying indoors with windows closed. Pets should also be brought indoors until at least an hour after spraying stop at 2 o'clock in the morning. The trucks will be equipped with GPSs if residents want to track them at fcgov.com/West Nile.
Make sure you stick around, Rams. We have more news after the weather with Morgan Gardner.
That's here on CTV Channel 11.
Welcome back from the break, Rams.
There's more news, so let's get right into it. Since the start of the pandemic, many students have been left questioning what their study abroad opportunities may look like. To answer those questions, CSU has been hosting its virtual Education Abroad event this week. There's still one day left for anyone who wants general information on what study abroad programs are out there and how to sign up through the Education Abroad office. Sessions will be held from 9 in the morning tomorrow until about 1:30 in the afternoon. The last talk of the day will be about programs in the United Kingdom and Ireland. If you missed out on a talk that you would like to see, any of the previous recordings from sessions this week can be viewed on the Education Abroad's website.
Ever since I watched Sweet Life on Deck as a kid, I really wanted to study abroad, so I kind of am interested, not going to lie.
I've got 1 year left after this, and I just need to travel.
There's so many cool places, like, no offense, Colorado, but like you gotta tour.
Like to study Spanish in Spain.
Pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. Well, if you're living near Front Range Village and not traveling the world here in Fort Collins, you may have a say on some upcoming developmental plans. The development is for around 29 acres of land that has the potential to create a plethora of new housing, including around 400 to 500 new apartments and 250 to 300 townhouses. The development team is looking for input from the community on said development plans. Information can be found on the Fort Collins government website.
After the Cameron Peak fire last year, the Bobcat Ridge Natural Area was forced to close down. The fire tore through 80% of the open space. But, thanks in a large part to Pulliam Charitable Trust, the Natural Areas Department, with the help of volunteers, were able to restore the trails in the area. Bobcat Ridge will be an on-trail only natural area to help the surrounding land recover from the wildfires and flooding. The trail will open at dawn on Saturday the 18th. Dogs will not be allowed on the trail, and the city is expecting lots of visitors on its opening day.
Resurrection Christian Schools is facing a potential closure after failure to follow COVID-19 protocols, resulting in multiple outbreaks. Larimer County health officials have put out a statement in regard to the poor handling of COVID-19 protocols, stating, quote, "Non-compliancy to investigate and control the causes of epidemic or communicable diseases and conditions affecting public health," end quote. In retaliation, Resurrection Christian Schools have lawyered up and have said that the county is not allowed on the school grounds. However, Larimer County says despite the school being a private institute, they still are allowed to enforce COVID-19 policies as they belong within the school district.
Ag Day has been a tradition here at CSU for 40 years. It combines the school's pride for agriculture and football together. This Saturday, before we face off against Vanderbilt, many people will be gathering for a barbecue. There will be lots of food showing off many of CSU's partners in the local food industry. A ticket is needed to get into the Ag Day celebration, but tickets are available through the Agricultural Sciences website at agsci.colostate.edu/agday.
Well, Rams, that is all the news we do have for you tonight.
But stick around for the latest on sports from Cameron Evig.
And later on, the best in entertainment from Tom Isaacson here on CTV.